Shut up and sit down.
That was fucking Derby was
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. From way up in the huge-ass broadcast center, I'm Michael Derby. Today we've got another exciting race in the DGFX ClubSport series. We got 2 hours and 24 minutes of Porsche 911 and Mazda MX-5 multi-class racing here at Barber Motorsports Park ready for you. So let's go ahead and introduce my broadcast partner today, Justin Hall. How you doing, Justin?
I'm doing pretty good, Derby. How you doing?
Excellent. I'm looking forward to this race. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty excited. Looks like a smaller field today, but looking forward to some close racing between the MX-5s and the Porsche.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get the grid for you here. Want to go ahead and read that off for us, Justin?
All right, so starting off with the Porsche class, we have Hugh Jazz, Sven Demmel running first. Then we have Apex Racing Group GT Red in second. Fitzy Motorsport in third, Low Wee Racing in fourth, Reverend Racing in fifth, German Disaster Racing in sixth, Torque Freak Avon Rise in seventh, and Torque Freak Racing Blanchemont in eighth, SROC Racing Blue in ninth, Team Vikings in 10th, Berlin Sim Sport in 11th, SROC Racing Green in 12th. Rounding out the Porsche field is V Apex Racing GT Blue.
All right.
And then moving on.
Go ahead.
Moving on to the MX-5 field, we have Disabled Motorsport on pole, UMBC Racing in second, WR Racing in third, Fusion Red in fourth, and ClubSport Admin. Is that just the?
That's just the admin. He's not racing.
Okay. Yep.
All right, well, the teams are gridding up right now. They should be about a minute to go. This is the second race of this series that we covered. The last one was at Zolder Motorsports Park. That was definitely a fun race to watch. I hope this one is just as fun to watch for everybody.
But with maybe a little less drama.
That's right. Let's go ahead. We'll take a quick look at the cars here. Sven Demmel starting on pole for the huge-ass team. Eric Smith for V Apex Racing Group GT Red starting second. Sam Fitzpatrick for Fitzsty Motorsport starting in third. Tobias Soltau for Low Racing. He will be in fourth. Arjuna Kankupati is starting in fifth. He's on the Reverend Racing team. We've got Jens Lehmann for the German Disaster Racing team starting sixth. George Gruber for the Torque Freak Racing Avon Rise. He'll be starting in seventh. Oh, looks like we're about to get started here. And green flag, and they're away.
Like a couple of them were sleeping on the green flag there. Is this a rolling start, or is this...
Yes, it does appear that they're going to go ahead and do a pace lap. Sorry, I was misinformed on that one.
We're going to do one full pace lap with Hugh Jazz leading the field, then going here in a little bit.
Toggle that back over to yellow since they're not quite green yet. And while we're waiting for this to get started, we could go ahead and take a look at the Mazda teams here. Fabian Dans for Disabled Motorsport, he'll be starting on the pole for that grid. Sam Scott for UMBC Racing, starting in second. Stephen Nobes for WR Racing B, starting third. John Goodwin for the Fusion Red will be starting in 4th and bringing up the rear of the pack here.
So, a little bit of a small field today with the Miatas. Four competitors.
Yeah, I'm sure that they're going to provide a little bit of challenge for the Porsche drivers when they're getting lapped, so keep an eye on that.
Yeah, definitely lap traffic makes for good passing opportunities. Just see that come into play.
Okay, we're coming into the last few turns here. Should be getting underway here in just one moment.
And we are coming up to the straightaway. Be going green flag here any minute.
There we go. Now we're underway. Sven Demmel is
taking a commanding lead here. A nice gap between himself and Apex Racing, who is going too wide with Sam Fitzpatrick.
That's right, it looks like Sven has already pulled out about a second gap on the pack here, but the rest of the pack is staying real close to each other. Maybe Eric Smith is pulling out a tiny bit of a lead.
Him and Sam look very close.
Oh, we got a couple of cars off track going wide through that turn there. Looks like everybody is continuing on, though.
Barber Motorsport, not the easiest track to go fast at. Certainly very punishing when you try to carry too much speed into a few of these corners.
It does have a lot of off-camber turns that make things very difficult.
And very few brake markers outside of turn 1.
That's right.
Some would say a real driver's course.
All right, we got a new fast lap from Sven Demmel. Looks like 125.8. I imagine that'll be improved upon, and we'll keep an eye on that for you as well. You should see those pop up on your screen.
Yeah, right now it looks like he has about a 1.8 second gap to Eric Smith, ex-racing car.
Let's go ahead and check out the Miata field. The Fabian Dans of Disabled Motorsport is still out in front here. He's closely followed by Sam Scott, who's got less than a half a second to catch him there.
Yeah, so certainly not the biggest draft track at Barber, but still going to be playing a factor on some straightaways. So I'd expect these guys to stay pretty close together. All of them are running very similar lap times.
Meanwhile, our leader, Sven Demmel, has pulled out a 2.5 second gap on Eric Smith. Watch that gap live right here as Sven turns another fast lap.
I believe that's 0.2 quicker than his last lap. So he's really putting it on. Oh, whoa, whoa. Get under control there, Sven.
Hi, guys. Sorry, I just made it. My Miata broke down.
Oh, let's go ahead and welcome Alex Albert to the booth with us. How you doing today, Alex?
This is Evan Merrill.
Oh, this is Evan Merrill.
Yeah, we sound alike.
Alrighty.
Like we get that all the time.
Okay.
Evan Merrill's certainly no stranger to Miata troubles, eh?
Yeah, but I actually broke the fan belt. I was able to take the shoelaces out of my shoes and fashion a new one. So I got here to the circuit. Yeah, sorry, but I made it.
Yeah, you're certainly an expert when it comes to MacGyver fixes.
Oh, but thank you. Glad to see the team cars doing well out front.
Right now, running nearly a 3-second gap.
So let's take a look at the lead of the Miata field here. Looks like we have 3 cars close together.
We have Fabian Dans in the Disabled Motorsport with Samuel Scott in the UMBC racing car close behind, and Stephen Nobes right there in 3rd place. Fusion Red, John A. Goodwin, it's fallen off a bit, but these top 3 in the Miata are probably going to be very close throughout the entire race. Stephen
Must
Nobes
be a
actually
big spec
running a fast
Miata
lap.
race somewhere. The field's a little bit smaller than we've seen at prior rounds.
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate. Miata's always an exciting car to watch. Lots of close racing and small enough to run 2 wide in pretty much the entire track.
All right, so back up at the front of the Porsche field, Sven Dimmel continues to extend his lead over Eric Smith from the V-Apex Racing Group GT car. That gap is now approaching 4 seconds as we work lap 6.
Seeing some close racing here from Reverend Racing. He's currently in 5th place. Has Jens Lemon right behind him. George Gruber right in 7th place.
Yeah, those 2 cars that are right on his tail are going to continue to hound him, it looks like.
Not a lot of good overtaking opportunities in Barber. Oh, going into
Very close, but I don't think they made contact. If they did, it was just a touch, just a little kiss.
Yeah, both cars looking very clean still, so imagine they were got out of that okay.
And we have the 2 Torque Freak cars look on. Oh, here goes one of the Torque Freaks making a move. 87 around the outside. 42 gives space.
Making that pass
87
stick.
makes the stick, yeah. Nice move there by the 87 car. That's the Torque Freak Racing Avon Rise, currently being driven by George Gruber. Let's see if his teammate Sasha in the Torque Freak Racing Blanchemont car is able to also work his way past the 42. 42 is the German Disaster Racing, currently being driven by Jens Lehmann. Jens, is that, I think he's from Pittsburgh? Jens? I think he's part of the German club. Sorry, that regional humor might not work on for our European audience. The Reverend Racing, their current driver, Ajuna, is from Pennsylvania, so sure he might get that reference.
George Gruber had 2 wheels off there, but manages to keep it on track, bringing the fight to Juna.
Yeah, I think the 87 is lining him up here. Reverend better watch his mirrors, because I think the Torque Freak's going to be coming by in the next lap or so.
What do you think? Try for the overtake in turn 2 here, or?
I'd wait coming down here towards the hairpin. I guess it would be turn 4 or 5. I don't have the map in front of me. Apologize.
So we had a small lockup there.
Yeah, coming down here to this hairpin is where I would try to make my move, I believe. Not quite close enough yet.
Jens is also having a look. And already passing our first Miata on the field.
Yeah, I don't think traffic will be much of an issue today with the smaller field, but as always, it might be what it takes to help get this pass made.
Yeah.
All right, looks like the pack up ahead has started to break up a little bit, so this next car will be a 1Z, then maybe a 2Z.
Interesting to see how Reverend Racing Team uses the Miata for the maybe try to build a gap here. But the Miata stays out of the way of the Porsche race, coming up on the leader, the MX-5 field.
Oh. And the Miata's doing nothing wrong there, maintaining the racing line.
Oh.
He was there first. He has every right to the racing line. These faster
man.
cars can work around offline, and they split him. Shades of Hacken and Schumacher with Zonta at Spa.
Yeah, certainly a lot of skill being showed there, keeping that all together. One car goes on the outside and the other goes on the inside, that Miata. These guys are nose to tail.
Yeah, Reverend Racing continues to prevail in this battle. I thought Torque Freak would be able to work their way by now. Looks like their tires might be getting warm. They a little squirrely out of the last corner.
Having a little bit of a look there.
Perhaps it's time for George just to give them a lap here to cool off his tires. Mount another.
Oh, and it looks like he hit the Miata leader there. Let's see if we can get that replay up.
Yep.
So it looked like the Miata of Disabled Racing just locked up a little bit and found himself in a Porsche sandwich.
All right, and now going back to the lead here. Sven Dimmel continuing the lead, extending his lead out to now 8.5 seconds. I'm sure this will be no surprise to you, Justin, but he was the fastest car on the track last lap with the 126.4. That's a full second faster than second place Eric Smith with the Apex Racing Group GT car.
Yeah, Sven Dimmel is one fast driver. I believe he's been setting purple laps since the beginning of this race.
Well, I know he loves this course, so He was looking forward to it from the moment the schedule was released, and he's showing everyone why.
It's a great show for Sven right now.
I think the plan here for the HJ car is to get it as far into lead as they can while Sven's driving, and then I see they have Alex Albert down in the paddock. They'll load him in towards the end of the race, get the try to get the maximum drive time out of Sven, and then put Alex in for the remainder.
Certainly with this mini enduro, you have 2 drivers per car. So, yeah, what do you think the better strategy is? To have the fast guy in first, or would you save him for the end?
Well, we've tried it both ways this season. In the first race, I raced with Alex, and we had him, being the slower driver, qualify the car and do the first stint, and then I ran the second and third stints. We were able to get the car up to 5th, but after a poor qualifying, kind of a poor start, we were back to maybe 13th by the time I got in the car. So getting up to 5th was a good result, good start to the season. But I feel like the best strategy is to take your fastest driver, put him in to qualify, and then run him to the max drive time, switch, and then just let the other guy hang on the old tires and hopefully bring home the win.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, and Jens runs wide. He's back on the track.
Yeah, running wide here, especially in that corner, is very easy to do. No brake markers, off-camber turns, blind corners.
It is quite the tricky circuit.
Very technical. But, looks like he was able to recover from that poor line choice and back in the race here.
I think after the race, we should go over to the motorcycle museum on the other side of the track and check it out. I hear they have quite the collection.
Yeah, no, that would certainly be exciting. Does MotoGP race here?
I don't know. I would need to phone a friend. I know a guy who knows a thing about MotoGP.
Yeah, I believe it's going to be Rossi's last year.
We can only hope so. But that'll definitely be the end of an era. He is quite the champion.
Yeah.
All right. We see Jens Lehmann continuing to pressure the Reverend Racing car here.
On their lap times, they're only a 10th difference there.
Yeah, right there running solid 129s. So George, he was finally able to get by and get away there while we went back during that replay segment. He's starting to stretch his legs. See if he can close down the gap to Tobias. Then Tobias looks on to Sam up in the 3rd position.
And all of these cars running very similar lap times, so it's going to come down to who makes fewer mistakes, I think.
Yeah, the battle from second through fourth. Those three are really close together. And right now, as we see, Eric Smith was actually faster that last time by than our leader, Sven Dimmel. It might be the first time we've seen that today, as Sven works through the slower traffic of the Mazda field.
Yeah, certainly that lap traffic's going to play a factor. Although, only
wow.
3.
Yeah, and as we can see here, the lap traffic starting to affect the other cars as well.
Like Sven had to go around a Miata in turn 2 there. We're back with Jens Lemon. He chases down Reverend Racing.
Kankapati, Mr. Kankapati, I hope that's right.
Looks like Miata of John A. Goodwin in Fusion Red. Gonna stay to the outside here, let the 2 cars battle it out.
What was that, producer? One more time for me. Yeah, Mr. Kanki Pati continuing to show the way to Mr. Lehman.
Take a look. Mr. Lehman ran just a little bit wide there. But looking at the lap times, he was running 3... I'm sorry, that's his best lap. Yeah, only a 10th faster there from Ken Kipati.
So just a small lockup there from the 91. Want to keep those to a minimum with 2 hours of racing still to go. And the way that these races have gone so far this season, tire changes have been kept to a minimum. The top teams have not been making any changes at the stop.
So you predict the same here? Just take fuel, no tires?
Well, I was down in the paddock talking to Sven before the race. He actually loaned me some spanners to fix my Miata.
That's very nice.
He told me that the tire wear here was much higher than he originally anticipated. So I know that the HJ team is going to just, keep an eye on it. But if they can, and the tire wear is as significant as we think it may be, they have the time, they may change in the final stop. But and apparently my MotoGP guy is watching. He's tweeted, and Rossi just signed a new contract. So anyone out there that was worried about if Rossi was going to continue, you don't have to change your bed sheets for another 2 years.
Yeah, he'll...
Yep. Got our eyes on Team Vikings Ragnarok, one of our biggest fans of the broadcast. Keep the letters coming, guys. Martin Telgard looking good today. He's chasing Frederick von Eckhoven, maybe, with the S-Rock Racing blue car.
looking at their lap times, he was about 2/10 quicker, but slowed down on this lap here. I think that Miata just slowed him down a little bit too much, catching lap traffic at the wrong time.
All right, let's go and take a look at this battle for 2nd through 4th. Let's ride along with the 4th place car. All right, Justin, so you're the pretty experienced racer. What would you be thinking here as you look on from 4th? We're riding along here with Tobias.
Yeah, I think at this point I would just be trying to keep my head down, running my lap times and making the best use of traffic. Certainly with nearly 2 hours to go, there's no reason to get too crazy. Going to try to tuck in and get some draft in the straightaways. And, yeah.
Do you think that he's worried any about aero wash? Do you think he's giving a little space just to get some air on the car?
Possibly, but I wouldn't imagine the aero wash would be too big with these Porsches. Certainly nowhere near as bad as the Formula One cars or any of the open wheelers.
All right, and I'm sure our audience are big fans of the Formula One race, and we'll all be watching tonight from China, as we will be.
Yeah, will you be staying up late?
I usually do. I always tell myself I won't, but it's a guilty pleasure.
11 o'clock rolls around, and it's like just a few more hours. What? Might as well.
Yeah. I like to put a steak on, and then just wait for the race to start.
Yeah, maybe a few burgers.
Yeah.
Looks like Tobias is closing up the gap here to 3rd place.
Yeah, that was a beautiful lap that he had. He hit his marks. I didn't see any mistakes. Just such a tricky circuit with all the elevation change, and the braking can really be hard on the tires. So I hope all the drivers are looking after their tires, because just giving up a little here and there is much better than the 40 seconds or so that it would take to change them.
And it looks like Kankipati and Jens continue to have some close racing here.
Oh, do we see the 91? So there was a lockup there. Another one out of the Redmond racing car.
Yeah, if I'm a Kankipati, I would want to try to keep those to a minimum. Certainly it's easy to get a little distracted having a car right there on your bumper.
Yeah, Jens is wearing him out.
Yeah, he'll go on the inside, have a look, as he's doing right here. He's going to try and make a pass, or just run him wide.
I think he's just messing with him, right? Just making him know that he's there. Look in his mirrors. As a racer, we both know, if you're spending time looking in your mirrors, you're not spending time looking at the apexes. So I think that's what he's doing.
Yeah, when you start getting focused on the car behind you, that's when you're really going to get slowed down, and the other car is probably going to pass you.
Yeah, all drivers are keeping track of where the traffic is ahead and behind, and where the cars are relative to theirs at all times. But when the pressure's on like it is now,
it's having to
wears you out just a little bit more than normal. As they run side by side, door to door, down towards the braking zone.
Oh, wow. I thought Jens was going to have him
Arjuna.
there.
Yeah, Arjuna continues to lead with a defensive move. I think Jens is the faster car, and he knows it here.
Yeah,
Force him into a mistake. That's all it takes. Tight chicane right there. The Reverend car is taking a lot of curb, and it's early in the race with more than an hour and 52 minutes still left to go.
Yeah, I don't know. He might be getting a little shaken up with having Jens right there behind him.
Well, his car has some Oculus branding on it, so he's may be safe to assume that he's a VR racer. So, if you've tried that, it's pretty impressive, and it feels like they're right there in the living room with you. So, no doubt he might be a little shaken.
Yeah, I can imagine. He had a little bit of a lockup running a bit wide in turn one, but Jens just kind of backing off here, and I think he's going to keep the pressure on and try to force a mistake.
Ooh.
I
thought Jens was too far back to have a look that time, but he didn't believe so. Nice braking. Jens is very strong on the brakes.
Bit of a lockup there on the end, but really keeping the pressure on here. Ooh.
Wow, great precision with Jens in the 42 there.
He's
able
really
to accelerate all the way to the bumper and no more.
He's really putting the pressure on Arjuna here. Unfortunately, it looks like the UMBC Racing Miata has retired.
That's unfortunate. Wow, I hope let's keep our eyes on the battle here, though, as the Reverend Racing car runs wide on the main straightaway.
Ooh.
Couple fishtails, he keeps it under control. But Jens gets through. Jens finally forced that mistake as they were catching the Miata traffic. All right, the Reverend car is fighting back here. Jens, ever the professional, waiting patiently.
Yep, Goodwin just sticking to his line. Certainly nothing wrong with that.
No, he's got to run his race. Can't just disappear.
Nope. Be interesting to see if Jens can put a gap on. Ooh!
He runs a little wide. Jens has
Arjuna.
been very strong in the brakes on those into that corner on the previous laps. Maybe just pushed a little farther this time.
Arjuna's going to try to compromise Jens' entry here to the dipper. Both drivers able to make it cleanly. Interesting to see if Jens can put a gap on Arjuna here. Both cars look equally matched.
I feel like Jens has a little bit more pace. On that last lap, he was almost a second quicker. Even a little faster than the fifth place car, George Gruber, up ahead. But George, slipped through a few laps ago, and he slipped away. But he's about 8 seconds up the road. Let's see if Jens can set sail that direction. All right, let's Director, can we go back to Sasha Lamp, the 8th place car? I think this is our closest battle here with Frederick and Sasha, the 61 and 22.
Yes.
Right behind Frederick is Martin from the Team Vikings Ragnarok squad.
Well, their last lap time, they were only separated by a 10.
Yes, this is a great battle. And as they continue to work through traffic here, the Vikings being very patient there, giving room. That's a very smart move there. Too early in the race.
Yeah, certainly
Village
with
of Miata.
Yeah, with a little less than 2 hours to go, certainly no reason to force the issue there. Just got to back off a little bit. Certainly can be a bit painful.
And I believe they have the pace advantage on the two cars that are racing here just ahead. So they'll work their way back up.
Yep. Always important to keep it clean. Certainly don't want to have any repairs early in the race.
All right, so as we approach the hour and 45-minute mark left in this race, let's go for a rundown here from the top, Justin.
All right, so in first place we got Sven Demmel in the huge ass car, putting about a 37-second gap. A 20-second gap to Eric Smith, the Apex Racing Group car. Third place we have Sam Fitzpatrick in the Fitzy Motorsport. Fourth place we have Lowy Racing, driven by Tobias Soltau. George Gruber in fifth place with Torque Freak Racing. Then we have Jens Lammen or Le Mans in German Disaster Racing in sixth, with Arjuna Kankipati in seventh. Sasha Lamb in eighth. Frederick von Eco Ben in the SROC Racing Blue car in ninth. Martin Telgard in 10th, Viking. And Anders Christensen in 11th. Then Kenzie Niewolf in 12th. Richard Yeager is rounding out the Porsche field in 13th. Then moving over to the Miata field, we have Fabian Denz in the Disabled Motorsport Miata. Stephen Nobes, WR Racing B. And then we have John A. Goodwin, Fusion Red car.
All right. Well, thanks for that rundown. It looks like Avon Rise is on pit road. Let's see. We're right about 40 minutes in. This is minimum drive time. George stayed in the car? I guess they just fueled up. Not sure. That seems a little early.
How many pit stops are you predicting for this? Just
two stops. Two stops.
Two-stopper?
Yeah, the cars are limited to only 16 and change gallons. That limits them to right about 50 minutes of running.
So probably just a little splash and dash.
Yeah, let's take a look at the 22 car. Currently in 9th place, working on 8th place. Let's ride along, and we'll just do a little crank it up here. Let's ride along to 22 and everyone crank it up. Hope everyone enjoyed that ride along. I know I did.
Yeah, very exciting seeing him get right on the bumper there with Sasha Lamb. These guys are having quite the race.
Yeah, they're so evenly matched to still be this close together after 40 minutes of racing. So we will be approaching the pit stops here soon. I would say in the next 5 minutes we'll see the field on pit road.
What do you think? This will just be for a quick fuel stop?
I think it'll be fuel only, and then wait for your driver change. But potentially, we might see some driver changes here at the first stop. I just don't think that tires will be worth it, based upon prior races.
At this point, we're at about 45 minutes run time. So probably want to save that tire change for drivers about the halfway point or a little bit more.
Yeah, the race will be broken into just about equal thirds. So with 30 down and about 70 to go, we're definitely approaching that point.
Now, you've driven the Porsche a few times. How's the tire wear on that car?
I find it to be very manageable. As I said, I participated in the first round and did all of my running on the used tires and went fastest at the end of the race. So part of that, I think, was getting comfortable with the circuit, and the other part was just the tires just seem to get a little better as you wear them on.
Very surprising.
All right, so now we're going to take a look at the battle here of second and third at the V Apex Racing Group GT Red car driven by Eric Smith, being closely followed by the Fitzy Sty Motorsport car of Sam Fitzpatrick. So, Sam is very strong here, continuing to pester Eric. Sam continuing to pester Eric, both with very strong pace. On a normal day, probably be leading this race, but HJ has deployed their robot, Dimmel.
Yeah, Sven just has a knack for putting in consistent lap times, just building quite the gap right now. I believe it's about almost 25 seconds.
Yeah, it also, his complete lack of empathy also helps. It just allows him to just continue to set the pace lap after lap.
Yeah, some people might feel a little bit bad about putting that big of a gap on the second place car, but not our Sven. Ooh, and a little lockup from Eric Smith there. Sam needs a look on the inside.
So, if I was Sam, I think I'm going to just try to execute on my pit stop. I think I'm going to pit either one lap sooner or one lap later, preferably one lap later if I have the fuel.
Yeah, I would agree. Certainly right now it looks like he's running about 0.3 a lap quicker than Eric Smith, so really just coming down to that pit strategy. Try to have either that one lap in clean air, build that gap up.
If he hits his marks with a perfect in and out lap, stops right in the box, it might be enough to allow him to jump the 14 car on the stops.
Yeah, it'll be certainly fun to watch here in a lap or two when they start making their pits. Sam took a bit of curb there. Putting the Porsche up on 2 wheels.
Yeah, we're working lap 32. The prediction software is saying we have a little over 68 to go. So if you could break that into 234s, yeah, I think we'll see cars on pit road very soon. Sven, though, I anticipate we'll be able to go as far as anyone and maybe a lap farther. Sven, even though he's very fast, is usually very good on the fuel as well.
Yeah, it's not uncommon for Sven to save an entire extra lap of fuel.
And I'm sure today that he'll want to keep the pace as high as possible to maybe make the race 1 lap longer than the rest of the engineers have planned for. Just those little spin things.
Yeah, just always trying to throw people off their game.
But we continue to see a great battle here for second and third. The 77. He's not really taking looks, so I think he's content to just ride and keep the pressure on the 14. Oh, and the 14 feels the pressure as he hits the 3 and now runs wide.
Oh, and that's certainly unfortunate for the teammate, Apex Racing, who
that's the blue car.
Another.
Oh, and the 77 now is ready to make his move, now that he smells blood. He falls back in line.
All right, and now looks like Richard Yeager, realizing the error of his ways, letting the 2 guys go past him.
I don't know what he could have done differently. He got ran in the back of. I don't know how. I think he was just running his line there. Maybe.
True.
I only saw it one time, but anytime you get hit square in the rear bumper, it's.
Yeah, I suppose take a replay. We can see exactly what happened there between Eric Smith and the teammate.
So we see Eric Smith continuing to lead, apparently unbothered by the damage, as they start lap 34 of the race.
And our leader has taken to the pits.
I don't think so. Oh. Okay, sorry we missed that, folks. And I guess we were wrong about Sven saving the fuel. Apparently he's on a different strategy than what we would typically see him run. But the pace is blistering either way.
Just to quickly follow up on the Apex Racing teammate contact, it looks like Eric Smith just either missed his braking mark or the other driver just braked a little bit sooner than anticipated. So unfortunate, but they're continuing to run their race.
All right, so let's keep our eyes here on our current leader, the 14 car, the V-Apex Racing Group GT car. They stay on the track, coming through the final corner. They're onto the main straightaway, closely followed by the Fitzy Stein Motorsports car, driven by Sam Fitzpatrick.
And a
Miata works in between them in there. And we see other Porsches coming back onto the track after their stops. Looks like the Vikings car in 11th position. Back out after a quick stop.
Certainly doing his best to get around that Miata.
Looking at some of these stop times, Well, we'll wait and talk about that once we've seen how everyone go through the first stop. Let's give you a rundown. All right, the Reverends are on the road, the pit road.
Looks like they're just going to be taking fuel. And I would imagine the Apex Racing Group car driven by Eric Smith and Sam Fitzpatrick will be pitting pretty soon here.
If I was Sam, if he doesn't pit this time, I would. And then if he does, stay out. Oh, but Sam continues to mirror the strategy of Eric. Oh, and Sam touches the grass. That slowed down his forward momentum. He had to lift just a little to regain it.
Watching Sven Demmel right now, racing right behind Tobias Saltau, low wee racing car.
That's quite the paint job on the low wee racing. I like that.
Yeah, I do too.
All right. Oh, and Sven continues to hound him right on the bumper. Will he get the drive off the corner? These cars are affected by their fuel loads, so if that low wee racing car is on low fuel, he does have the advantage over Demmel, who we know is filled up and ready to go for another 50 minutes. All right, Yin's one of our front runners coming down the pit road.
Watch here, Sven continuing to chase down Tobias. I think just knowing you're a second faster, you're going to look for the overtake just about anywhere you can.
I think he might just wait for him to pit right here. Let's see, does Low E continue on? Low E goes into the pit. Sven goes by without needing to shed too much tire.
Yeah, certainly with the pit stops coming up here, there's always that chance they'll just drive down pit road and no sense in battling them.
So really impressed with the mileage that the leaders are getting here. Their strategy much different than the rest of the field, who's chosen to split this race into thirds.
Do you think a one-stop pit strategy would work, or is that not even viable in this series?
I don't believe it's even viable. Just not enough fuel. I'm surprised these guys are able to stretch it as far as they have so far. We're 54 minutes of running. Some of that time was used up at the start during the self-paced lap, but I would say still 50 minutes of hard running at this point. So, gotta be getting just down to the fumes. Riding along here with Eric. He's taking a wider line, and he's going into the pits this time. All right, so this is where we're going to see where everything shakes out with Sven Demmel and our leaders.
I imagine both of those cars had to pit this lap, so there wasn't the option of trying to stay out any longer.
Yeah, Sam had chosen to just mirror the strategy of the Apex Racing Group GT red car. And Sven's back in the lead. All right, so we expect that Eric Smith's car will be dropping out the jacks here in about 5 seconds. Oh, and Sam is out quick. And Sam is able to jump Eric here at the stop after hounding him for most of that first stint. A strong effort by the Fitzy Stye Motorsports team.
Yeah, possibly taking just a little bit less fuel. Trying to make the best of that pit strategy to get out in front.
And as long as they went in comparison to their competitors and our current race leader, they might have been able to just take half a gallon less. If it allowed them to get out in front, get this clean air, and maybe open up a gap over Smith.
Fitzpatrick.
All right, so we still have two of them that still haven't pit, if my telemetry is correct. Sasha and Frederick are both still out on track without pitting.
That's what I'm showing as well.
Yeah, and Sasha's into the pit lane this time. But Frederick is able to continue on for another lap. So Frederick, the long-haul trucker of the Porsche field, out of Benelux.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. He must be doing quite a bit of fuel savings there.
I'm not sure if the Luxembourg club, if that's where long-haul truckers come from in Europe, but certainly showing his ability to stretch the gasoline here today in the Porsche Barber Motorsports Park in beautiful Alabama.
Yeah, just a lovely racetrack. Certainly would like to get out there someday and drive in real life. Looks like a lot of fun.
Eekhoven pressing on here in the 22. Oh, big lockup. Oh, across the curbs. All right, he keeps it on the track. No harm. Feeling the pressure from the Lowy racing car behind. We think the SROC racing blue car will go into pit road, and he does.
Yeah. I'd imagine he had to be on fumes at this point.
Great mileage, though, Frederick. So it'll be interesting. I'll keep an eye on him. See if maybe he was stretching it out. Maybe they're going to do a driver change here.
Looks like we have a close battle here with the Reverend Racing still driven by Con Kipati, and the Team Vikings Ragnarok driven by Martin Tailgard.
So my prediction was right. The SROC Racing Blue car, we do have a driver change. Going into the car will be Demis Tigcheller. Hope I got that right, Demis. So yeah, I think that's why he was stretching it. Wanted to make sure we didn't go over the max drive time for his other driver.
So with the driver change happening, that's probably the same time that you're going to take tires, do you think?
No, I believe in this car, the service takes separate, but they did have the car on jacks, so it looks like they did take tires and fuel. Quite the long stop.
I'm certainly not familiar too much with this car, but I know in some of the other ones the driver change can add quite a bit of time, so taking tires makes sense.
Yeah, I still think that they've chosen to give up probably 25 seconds or more with the tires. You might have to wait just a bit with the driver change and just fuel, but like we mentioned earlier, tires are an issue here at Barber. It's a very twisty track. And
Con Kipati going pretty wide there. Wow. And there was that pavement there.
All right, so where are the best battles now on the track after our pit stops?
Yeah, I believe it's still Con Kipati and Martin Tailgard in the Vikings Ragnarok car.
Yeah, we're big fans of the Vikings. As I mentioned, they're big fans of ours. So, yeah, good to see them with a good run here. Oh, and Martin runs a little wide out of turn one. Will that give the Reverend car a chance to make a pass.
It certainly closed the gap because the Reverend car had a similar issue going into this turn coming up. So these guys are really leaving nothing on the table, so to speak. They're giving it everything they got.
Yeah, I saw looked like the rear end of the two cars stepped out a little under the hard braking for the hairpin there. And both of them here through the dipper, making a generous amount of curb and accelerating away and towards the chicane here on the backstretch. This is a very challenging chicane, high speed you approach it at over 120 miles an hour, and the Reverend car into the grass.
Two wheels up.
Continuing to keep his nose in here, and the Vikings.
Oh,
I think the Vikings were smart to give room there. The 91 was coming through.
Conky Potty making that overtake stick. That's I find it pretty hard to overtake here. And Conky Potty is showing quite a bit of skill there, getting around the Viking.
And he's able to pull away, so good move. Let's see, so needs a couple laps here, no mistakes, open up the gap, start working on closing in on Anders up ahead in the Berlin Sim Sport car. Conky Potty, another one of those cars that took tires on the first stop. So let's talk about the stops. So if we look, our leader had the least amount of time in the box with a stop of only 19.5 seconds. Second place with a 19.9 seconds. Just about 3.5 seconds quicker than Eric Smith. That was the difference where we saw Sam Fitzpatrick jump Eric Smith on the grid. Next with Tobias in fourth, same time as Smith at a 23.3. So, and fifth with a 23.7, sixth with a 23 flat. I would think that is a full fuel, no short fill time. So it looks like the leaders might have slightly short filled.
Yeah, it's an interesting strategy. I would have to imagine the tire change on the Porsche happens pretty quick.
No. It takes about 25 to 30 seconds. So you can see some of our cars. The first one is the Reverend Racing car in 8th place with a 48.9 second time in the box. And also Lars Moldenhauer, the Torque Freak racing car, in 10th position. They both were stopped for 48.9 and 50.3 seconds respectively. So that would have been a full service with the tires change. So as you can see, they were 50 seconds to a 23 second, where you're looking at losing about 27 seconds to take the tires with the fuel. But if it's going to make up 0.8 of a second a lap, it's worth it over the course of over a fuel stint. And if it's only 0.4 seconds a lap better the rest of the race, it's worth it. So these teams know what they're doing. They're working different strategies. Sometimes when you're running third or fourth, you can't do what first and second are going to do if you want to win.
Yeah, certainly strategy is going to be a big factor here. But as we discussed earlier, just not the most overtaking opportunity. So you can run a slightly different strategy than the guy in front of you and make it work. It's going to definitely pay dividends.
All right, so we're going to look here at Sam.
Fitzpatrick, the Motorsport car.
Yeah, he's being chased by Eric Smith, but the 22 cars got in between S-Rock Racing Blue team, and he very politely pulls out of the way to let Mr. Smith continue his battle on to chase down Sam.
Certainly, Eric appreciates that, but probably wishes it happened a little bit sooner. Looking at their lap times, Eric Smith just running slightly faster than Sam. I wouldn't be surprised to see him closing the gap up here.
The Torque Freaks are going... Huh. Well, just getting word from my producer, the Torque Freaks are going to split strategy. One of our insiders down in the paddock overheard a couple of mechanics talking, so we're not sure what that means with the split strategy. Maybe one car is going to change tires and the other isn't. Or one's changing on the first stop and the other on the second.
I could see that. You know, certainly you want to try a few different strategies and see which one plays out better for you, especially having cars in the field.
Yeah, so it looks like that the Torque Freak Racing Blanchemont car did take tires on that first stop, so they were running, you know, near the Avon Rice car. Avon Rice car, I think, was a little quicker in the opening laps, but it will be interesting to see if the 61 is able to close that gap as we get closer to the finish.
Agreed, and as we continue to ride along with Eric Smith, Sam Fitzpatrick putting up a near identical time, so no time is able to made up for Eric on this lap.
Oh yeah, and as you said that, I took a look at our timing screens here that we have in the booth, and they're separated by only 0.02 of a second. That's quite close competition.
Yeah, these guys are pretty equally matched, and I would expect them to pretty close if we move forward to the second stop.
And just to give you kind of an update here where we are with times, folks. Sven Dimmel continues to lead. 35 seconds back is Sam Fitzpatrick. Next was Eric Smith at 36 seconds behind our leader. Tobias Soltau is fourth, 50 seconds back, and George Gruber is 1 minute and 15 back in fifth. What do you see there?
I see Concupati and Christensen just going back and forth on this lap. It's quite the battle here for like 6th place.
And we have Telgard watching on from behind. So can we ride along with Telgard? Maybe he's the perfect camera car for this battle. So if I'm Telgard, I'm going to just be very patient here and let this come to me.
Yeah, I would agree. With having two guys this race with one another, let them go too wide, let the mistake happen, to take advantage and possibly leapfrog both of them. You see the Miata getting...
here we go.
Putting the Miata there. Ooh.
Well, it was the answer.
Yeah,
it always is.
Tough spot to be for him, but everyone getting through that cleanly.
Oh, here we go with
Algard going on the inside.
Looking inside to turn 2. This is a strong move on the 94. Can the 2 push up over the hill here? Get room. Both cars, lots of racing room. Coming to the braking zone. Both cars hard on the brakes. The 94 pulls it down to the apex. Martin not quite able to make the outside stick.
It was quite the driving there. I mean, go too wide into that hairpin is pretty scary at times.
Yeah, Martin is continuing to keep the pressure on Anders while watching the Reverend car slip away.
Sure, Anders would appreciate some more discretion from Martin there, so he can take the race to Kankapati.
But if I know Martin like I think I do, he feels like he's much faster than Anders here, and could take the fight to Kankapati if he could just get by. Now remember, the Kankipati does have the fresh tires, where Anders and Martin are both on the older tires.
That's certainly going to be playing a factor here.
Taking a look at those pit stop times, Anders with a very short stop, only 16.5 seconds. That's the shortest box time I see of all the cars.
Wow. So certainly be interesting to see how his strategy plays out.
Yeah, I think we'll see him on the lane again before the others, but maybe this is as we see the Vikings lose a little bit of the forward drive and slide over to the grass. Gathers to back up, but lost quite a bit of time. Anders with a lockup into the dipper.
If I'm Anders, I'm feeling pretty relieved right now. Just focus on overtaking Kankipati. Looking at their last lap time, Christensen about a 10th or 5 thousandths on Kankipati. So really, he's making those older tires work for him.
It really is. I don't believe the tires will be the limiting factor. I really feel like these drivers can make it work with the old tires over the course of the race. It'll be interesting to see what happens with its next set of stops, though. If Kankipati making that change after running in the top 5 early in the race is able to scare some other teams on the tires. And as I say that, Martin Tellegard of the Vikings runs wide through the hairpin into the grass. He might be wishing for tires right now. It just got on the brakes just a little too late, went through the grass.
Yeah, certainly the braking in the Porsche is a difficult thing to master. It's so easy to push it a little bit too far. And, really don't have much option except to get it under you.
The Porsche is quite the tricky mistress, but that's part of what makes it so fun. So let's take a look back up at our lead. That's why the sponsors pay so much to be on the fast cars, to get the coverage. As we see the Team Huge Ass Dickinsider sponsored car from HJ Motorsports being piloted by Sven Dimmel here in the lead.
I think he's putting about a 38-second gap to the Fitzy Motorsport car driven by Sam Fitzpatrick. It's quite impressive.
Yeah, and with working lap 51, that would be about 3/4 of a second or so a lap average stronger than the field. Impressive pace today, Sven. Next in our running order is the Fitzy Stein Motorsports car piloted by Sam Fitzpatrick. The gap after the stops was out to about 3 seconds. It's now less than a second back to Eric Smith at the V Apex Racing Group GT red car. That's our top 3. Still a little bit of damage on the 3rd place car. Going back to the 4th place car, the number 69 from Lowy Racing, Tobias Soltau, with this commentator's favorite paint job. Next in our running order is the Torque Freak car, the Avon Rise. This is the car that did not take the tires. Next in our running order is the German Disaster Racing car being driven by Jens Lehmann. Jens also did not take tires at the stop, and Jens will be getting out of the car at the next stop due to drive time. And Jens was also just lapped. So Next in our running order is the Reverend Racing Car, the second car 1 lap down, being driven by Arjuna. He is in 7th. 8th is the Berlin SimSport car, the 94, currently piloted by Anders Christensen. Let's go back to 9th, the Team Vikings Ragnarok with Martin Tellegard. Then we have the 61 of Lars Moldenhauer. Lars is on the split strategy from his sister car. They are in 10th. Let's see if the tires can make it work for them. Back in 11th, the SROC Racing blue car with Dimas Tigchelar. In 12th is Andy Banfield in the VApex Racing GT blue car. And has Andy been in the whole time? No, it looks like Richard was in at the beginning on that. So the VApex Racing, they switched drivers at the last stop, and Andy's in. He's been in for the last 14 laps. Good effort by Andy. And the last of our Porsche runners is the SROC Racing green car being piloted by Patrick Hingston. Taking a look at the leader of our Miata class is Disabled Motorsports with Daniel Alzel. That's the same car that Fabian Dans is the co-pilot of. It looks like Fabian's done his work and has left the circuit for the day. Next in the Miata field is the WR Racing B car running in the A position. Troy Goatley in second place. And rounding out the podium of the Miata class is the 1-2-3 car of Neil Middleton of the Fusion Red. And that's our field as they run currently.
Neil just having to contend with quite a bit of Porsche traffic there. So we had Eric Smith, Sam Fitzpatrick, and Andy passing it.
All right, with over an hour still to go, anything can happen. Where do you see the exciting battles on the track right now, Justin?
Right now I'm watching Andy Banfield, who is a lap traffic, but Eric Smith and Fitzpatrick still right on each other's tail. I think that's the race to watch right now for second and third on the podium, the Porsche field.
Ah, yes, I see. And Eric is sniffing around here, wanting to get back to his familiar clean air. Oh, Sam with some big black marks coming out of that last corner and a big wiggle, but a defensive line. Eric's not able to make it, not able to sneak by.
Yeah, certainly. If I'm Sam, I think I want tires right about now.
Well, lucky for him, we're almost, and by almost, maybe 10 or 15 minutes away from being in that fuel window for the final stop. So Sam, I'm sure he understands he's just got to tough it out just a little bit longer till it's time for the driver change. And then it'll be up to the Sty part of the Fitzy Sty Motorsports to finish it out. And maybe it'll be on these old, worn-out tires.
That would certainly be a interesting feat. I don't think Sam's being too gentle with these tires.
My producer said that Sty hasn't been seen in the paddock this week, and we believe it will be Christensen Mikel, but still waiting to hear back from the marshals. I've sent a note over to their box.
Not being too familiar with these teams, do you see any of them employing their fast driver at the end of the race?
You know, I'm not. I can't say for sure. it's hard to tell. All teams are allowed 4 driver slots for the season. If you need a 5th driver slot, you have to start from the pits. So I'm sure all the teams will want to use one of their 4 or 2 of their 4 drivers here today. So it's very possible, could be scheduling or another race. We've had drivers come in, after the race has already started, and then hit the car and put them in. So maybe some teams will have a hot shoe arrive via helicopter here mid-race. We can stage a spotter over by the helipad. Yeah.
Eric Smith. Yeah, he's really taken it to Fitzpatrick here, just continuing to be right on the bumper. I would think Eric's feeling the heat, feeling the pressure a little bit from Patrick.
Yeah, Smith trying to keep the pressure on Fitzpatrick, locked up there just a little, pulling out to cool the engine and the tires here as they approach the most iconic turn of the Barber circuit. And they hit the curbs on the left and on the right. Very slow, accelerating back up through the high-speed chicane here on the backstretch, entering it at 120 miles an hour or more. Exiting at almost 110, so, a very minimal slowdown through there.
Yeah, just a touch of the brakes or maybe even a lift. Saw Eric Smith getting a little loose coming out of a corner turns ago. But still keeping the power down and bringing the pressure.
Maybe. Yeah, so let's take a look back at Anders in 7th place. He's leading the Vikings. The Vikings are closely trailing him. Go ahead, Justin.
I'm sorry. It looks like George Gruber had a bit of a spin in at the end of lap 54 and got in the way of Sven Demmel. Everyone seemed to make it out cleanly, but definitely a close call there.
Gruber with the spin, the 87. The Torque Freak Racing Avon Rise, no contact. He was able to get it spun back around here. It was right before the start-finish line, coming to 55. So less than an hour of racing to go. The prediction software is saying just over 41 laps, 41 and a half from here for the leader as he works through the chicane on the backstretch. So we expect Concapati's team. Oh.
Looks like the Reverend Racing team has a bit of damage into the pits early. I think we're going to get a bit of a replay on that one.
Just saw it. It was came off of the last corner and just oversteered into the pit wall. So that's really disappointing to see. Had a really strong run. I was going to be interested to see how the tire stop was going to play out in the race, but Now we may never know.
Yeah, it's certainly unfortunate there.
So the best race on the track continues to be the battle for second and third. Sam continuing to hold the second position here over Eric. Eric keeping the pressure on, looking left and then right. But seems content to just ride along and let Sam set the pace. It seems both seem to know they don't have anything for our leader today.
Yeah, I would think Eric Smith just gonna be putting the pressure on the Sam Fitzpatrick Fitzy Motorsport car and just see if he can force him into a mistake. Eric Smith still having a bit of aero damage from the earlier context, so might be down a little bit on top speed.
All right, and we're 5 laps away from being in the window to make it the rest of the way on fuel. All right, taking a look here at Anders and Martin. Martin seems to be a little bit quicker with a few more mistakes. Anders a little bit more slow and steady. Should be a good battle going down here into the braking zone this time as the Vikings pull back in line after taking a look.
Yeah, certainly with
the Vikings with a tidy line there through the hairpin.
And he might take him to the dipper there. Yeah, you mentioned the difference in pace. Sometimes it's really about consistency and not just about raw speed. It's going to win you the race in these endurance series.
Oh, for sure. So, I don't know that we've had a chance to talk about the sculpture at the track. Did you have a chance to see the giant spider?
Yeah, certainly very hard to miss. It's quite the sculpture there.
And I guess that's Charlotte's Web, which I believe it's safe to just divulge at this point. Is the password for this session. So, quite a cheeky password there from the race organizers.
I would agree. And looks like Eric Smith was able to get by Sam Fitzpatrick on that last lap there going into turn 2. So we have a new second place. Porsche field.
As they work down through the gears into the hairpin. All right, so second and third here are catching Lars Moldenhauer from the Torque Freak Blanchemont car.
Yeah, second and third, they're Eric Smith put in quite the lap. But Fitzpatrick staying right on his bumper. It'll be interesting to see for Eric if the front arrow is causing any top speed. Causing a lower top speed for him.
Yeah, I would think if it does, it should only be maybe 2 miles an hour at a circuit like this. So hopefully not too big a problem. Sam with his nose all over the bumper, though. He might have given up the position, but he has not given up his will to fight.
No, I would expect this battle to continue until we get into the third pit stop.
Which could be here probably in the next 5 laps. Maybe 4. Oh, and my producer says Dave on Rise car is on pit road. I can see they are on jacks. 87 car is on jacks. So they're going to take tires leading into this last stop. Apparently they saw something on that sister car that told them this is the right call to make today.
Yeah, certainly I would expect for the new driver that he'll be thankful for those new tires as well.
And then new driver is James Ewens, coming out back onto the track now in 6th position, the 87 car. Just in front of our leader, Sven Dimmel. Sorry, he's now in 10th position. Was 6th before the stop. Let's see. Sven wastes no time going around the 87. Hard in the braking zone here. Of course, Sven is light on fuel, and the 87 very full on fuel and with a fresh driver. Smart thing to do is just get your bearings under you. Feel it out here. And I'm hearing we have another car on pit road.
Well, the Berlin SimSport car of driven by Anders Christensen, who was in, and Anders comes out for his replacement driver, Thierry Renson. Terry will be coming out on fresh tires.
All right, so will be interesting to see what the Huge Ass team does here. They have enough of a lead that they could take the tires and still have the lead, even if second and third don't take tires. What do you think, second and third? Will they wait and see what the leader does, and if they do take tires, that hope that they can close down that 8 or 10 seconds that'll be left?
Possibly, but from what you're saying, I mean, it doesn't seem like they're going to be able to take the fight to first place. So, if I was Sam Fitzpatrick, I would be watching Eric very closely here. And as we see, Sam is going into the pits, so I think he's going to try to make the jump on Eric.
Well, I think we're getting close to drive time here as well. I believe Max would be right around 140. So that we're going to be at that number here in the next 5 minutes or so.
So Fitzpatrick is going into the pits. I suspect he will be taking tires along with a driver.
Let's keep an eye on that. Don't see the car being jacked up.
So we have Christian Mickle in right now in the Fitzy Motorsport car. Looks like they're going to stay on the...
There he goes on the jacks. Yep. All right, that's going to be interesting. All right, so they went ahead and telegraphed their move to Eric Smith.
See how
it'll
he
be
reacts.
Interesting to see if he matches them and takes the tires, or if they go with the free 30-second lead and just try to nurse it home.
We were just watching here the number 94 driven by Thierry Renson with James Ewens, Torque Racing.
Okay. Let's take a look at German Disaster. They've been one of our front runners. Peter Conrad now in the car. Someone try to make this race on a no tires.
It certainly seems like it would be quite the strategy if they could do that.
Oh, here we go. It looks like the German Disaster Racing. I didn't see the car go in Jackson. I don't think they were stopped long enough to have taken tires with just 33-second stops. So this is our team.
Certainly be interesting to see Peter Conrad, how well he can do with these worn tires.
All right, Tobias Soltau on pit road getting out. Tony Loesch from Lowy Racing getting in. And we see our leader coming down pit road, going all the way down to the very end, the privilege of the pole sitter. And we see the Lowy Racing car now on jacks taking tires. Our leader, we'll see Sven Dimmel crawling out of the car, Alex Albert crawling in, getting his belts tight, pumping in the fuel. Will they take tires? Our leader. Give a little back to Eric Smith.
I would suspect with this much of a gap, you take tires just to be safe, but I haven't seen the car go up on jacks yet.
Alex is team boss, so he's got to make the calls. But I'm surprised he didn't go on fresh tires just to be safe. I'd hate to see the boss crash the car today.
Yeah, it would certainly be very unfortunate after such a strong drive by Sven. But let's stay positive and assume the team boss knows what he's doing.
All right, so Alex Albert is now out in the lead.
Looks like he's behind Eric Smith.
Oh, okay, yep. My producer's telling me Eric did slip through here. So can we ride along with the huge-ass car as he chases Eric?
It's like
So
Eric's
see
still
him
going to have to
just
make
up ahead. All right, the huge-ass car has a fresh driver, so we expect him to be just a little off the pace here for the first 2 or 3 laps. Just feeling out what the limits are. Eric Smith, he's been out here for almost 2 hours now, so he's well aware of what the limits of the car and the track are at this time.
And if I'm Alex Albert, I wouldn't think you really need to take the fight too hard to Apex Racing, because any minute here they're going to be going into the pits.
And there they go. And so this should move the huge-ass car back into the lead. All right, let's turn our camera towards the GT Red car and monitor their pit strategy here. This is going to be very interesting where they come out. I think part of that's going to be depending on if they take the tires.
Oh, Russell Cleaston getting in the car.
Oh, and the car's going up on jacks. And we see the German Disaster racing car going by. We know they're good on fuel to the end, so are these tires going to be enough to be able to drive up and past German Disaster Racing, who are continuing to go further and further down the circuit while they sit here stopped? I've been corrected. They're a lap down.
But certainly Peter is going to have to make these tires work for him. Looks like SROC Racing Blue, Demise Chilar is right behind him.
So the V Apex Racing Group GT Red car, the crew, very quick today. Able to get the driver, the tires, and the fuel done much quicker than the Fitzy Sty team. They were running nose to tail before the stops, and now after the stops, there's about a 5-second gap.
Demise took in quite the overtake there on Peter. That was quite a move. I think Peter on those old tires isn't going to try to do anything crazy. Just try to bring it home at this point.
So we have a couple cars that we haven't seen pit lately. The one farthest up the running order is Lars Moldenhauer. He's in 4th position. Torque Freak Racing Blanchemont car. So Lars, we believe, is in for the remainder of the race. Sasha qualified and started the race. All right, we see a Miata down the pit road here. We take a look at the WR Racing B. Oh, they're going to change tires, it looked like. Yeah. Yep. Kind of surprised here to see so many tire changes.
Yeah, it's a certainly a technical track at Barber Motorsport, and if you have a driver locking them up Although with the Miata you got ABS, but still.
Well, and I've been reminded the Miata does take fuel at the same time as tires, unlike the Porsches, so the tires are free on these stops for the Miata. And they're quickly back out. Kevin Curry, the WR Racing B cars, again away.
So it'll be interesting to see if he can leapfrog the Fusion Red and disabled Motorsport car with taking the earlier pit stop. So we're riding along here with, following Lars Moldenhauer of the Torque Freak Racing Blanchimont.
If he stays out here, can we do a ride along for a lap and crank it up? Oh, no, and as we see our leader off the track, Alex Albert had some kind of issue. Yeah, just got out there a little wide, got the grass, the back started to step out. Luckily, it doesn't look like the car was damaged much at all. That team might be regretting not taking tires at the stop. Yeah, and with the 53-second lead, I think they just need to bring it home here. With only 27 laps to go, they could give up right around 2 seconds a lap to maintain their lead. And they're going to need all that lead that they have. They were 6 seconds slower that last lap than their competition, so...
Yeah, I would certainly think just, take it easy and continue to manage the gap here and don't make any mistakes.
Yeah, I'm sure Alex is glad that he got away with that with only very minor contact with the barrier. We're looking at the Torque Freak Racing Blanchimont car driven by Lars Moldenhauer, pulling away from Tony Loesch from the Lowe Racing team. Really a big fan of Tony's paint job, though. Might need to see who their graphics designer is. That's amazing. So we have a pretty good three-way battle here for 4th, 5th, 6th. We have Lars in 4th, Tony in 5th, and Thierry Rinson, and I guess that's 9th. He's just running along there with them. I thought he was in 6th. Very strong pace, though, to keep with these other guys. As we see Alex Albert approaching. All right, Justin, do you want to run through the field here?
All right, so starting off, continuing a lead with the huge-ass car driven by Alex Albert. Then behind him, you have the V Apex Racing Group, driven by Russell Clayson. Third, you have Pitstye Motorsport, driven by Christian Mikkel. Then in fourth, you have Torque Freak Racing Blue, driven by Lars Moldenhauer. Fifth, we have Lowy Racing, driven by Tony Lusech. Sixth place, SROC Racing Blue, driven by Demise Teixeira. Seventh place, you have the German Disaster Racing Team, driven by Peter Conrad. In eighth place, you have Torque Freak Racing, driven by James Ewens. In ninth, you have Team Viking, driven by Ole Maurice Jensen. In 10th place, you have Berlin Sim Motorsport, or SimSport, sorry, driven by Thierry Renson. You have in 11th place, the Apex Racing GT Blue, by looks like they're in the pits right now. Now into that car is Richard Yeager. And in 12th place, you have SROC Racing Green, by Patrick Hingston. Then, going over the Miata field, you have Daniel Holzer in the disabled motorsport car. In second place, you have Kevin Curry, WR Racing B. Then behind them in third is Neil Middleton, Fusion Red Miata.
All right, well, thank you. So, it looks like one of our better battles right now is the position change that just happened from that pit stop with the GT Blue car.
So Yeager coming out of pit lane.
So the second half of this race, or the final third, I guess, really, this is going to be the story of the B drivers. Everyone now is on their second driver of the race, and as we can see, the second and third, who had been nose to tail all the way through the race, the gap has now opened up to about 6 seconds between Russell and Christensen.
Yeah, certainly those guys were running pretty tight before. It looks like the Apex Racing Group just able to build quite a big gap.
All right, I've been keeping an eye on the Huge S Cars lap times, and they were a little spotty there at first. 2-3 seconds to lap off the pace of second and third, but it looks like now he's finally got his legs under him and starting to do 27s, 28s. So if they can maintain this pace, they should be able to hold on to the lead with less than 24 laps to go.
Yeah, certainly still a 45-second gap there, so run a little bit slower, just keep your head down and don't make any mistakes.
So from my calculations, it looks like the only cars that didn't take tires here were the Huge S and the German Disaster Racing cars.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised by that. And I would think tires would be pretty helpful around this very technical circuit. Certainly saw Alex Albert, getting a bit into the barrier there, so maybe feeling differently about the strategy call.
Yeah, but I've taken a look at all the sides of it now, and I don't even see a scratch. So, really got lucky to get away with that one.
Yeah,
As you see, Alex is coming around to lap the yellow car of Berlin Sim Sport, driven by Thierry Rinson.
Looks like Alex Albert has found his groove running a 127.664 in that last lap. So as you said, the damage very minimal with that barrier.
Yeah, and the Porsche is known to be a very tough car, able to take quite a bit of damage without losing much speed at all. It's a great race car, very well built, and one I'm glad that's part of the iRacing service.
I'd agree with that. It's quite the tricky car to drive. Of course, the braking is so important. Trail braking just about into every single corner.
All the way to the apex.
Has enough power to punish you on exit. That'll be very
Alright,
careful
so
there.
you see the torque freaks are on pit road here. Lars coming down for what we hope to be their last stop. And Lars went, about 36 laps there. So it's quite a long way. 37 laps according to my electronic telemetry here.
I see the car up on jack stand, so he will be taking fresh tires.
Oh, and he called off the tires. He's rolling again
Oh.
with only a 22-second stop. Yeah, I'm not sure why the car. Maybe a slight miscommunication with the crew, but not much
Whoa.
time lost at all. Quickly comes right back out to the racing line. The V-Apex Racing blue car is there.
Yeah, I think he's just not
Good trying
wanting
to
to
get
get
plenty of
behind the lap traffic, yeah.
Yeah, strong move. All right, let's jump back up towards the front of this race and take a look at the 77 car, currently the fastest car on the track, with a 126.9. Christian Mikkel on the Fitzy Sty team. Christian's also racing out of the UK and Ireland club. Just trying to close down that gap ahead to Russell. Russell's not making it easy. But there's enough race left. If he keeps chipping away here, 4/10 a lap, he'll be there with plenty of time to spare.
Yeah, certainly the V-Apex Racing Group GT Red still dealing with a bit of front-end damage, so might be playing a factor here as we round out the last 29 minutes of this race.
Yeah, they're one of the stronger teams in this series, consistent front runners. So if Fitzy Sty is not able to get around them today, nothing to hang their head about. A podium against this level of drivers is something definitely to be proud of.
And on that last lap, it looks like he made up about 6/10 on Russell Clayson, running a 127.2 compared to Russell's 127.8.
He definitely has the bit between his teeth and is ready to set sail towards the front of this race.
Looks to still be about 4.5 seconds back, so got a bit of work to do, but clearly showing he has the pace to do it.
Hearing some chatter from the pit wall, the team is reminding the driver of the 77 that his pace is strong, just keep his head down, keep pushing and closing that gap. Small lock up there by the 77 through the dipper, but I would say executed perfectly.
Yeah, certainly a very tough turn to get right with that braking zone. Saw quite a few cars locking up there. Just that that front right, it gets a little bit airborne, so very easy to do. Porsche is clearly no ABS on board to help him out.
All right, as we see, we are now under 20 laps to go. Approaching the 27 minutes left in this race.
See, it looks like Russell turned it up quite a bit, running at 127.1. So actually building a tense gap to Christian Mika, the Fitzstye Motorsport car. Certainly Russell is not going to make this easy for Christian. He's looking to fight him for second place.
Alright, so let's take a look at the race here between the Twerk Freak Avon and the German Disaster Racing. Looks like they're separated by about 4 seconds. As we know, the German Disaster team are on the same tires they started this race on almost 2 hours ago now.
Yeah, quite impressive. I would have to imagine car feeling just a little bit slippery with those original tires.
Yeah, so let's take a look at his lap times. He's doing 29.2 or 29.7. So, still plenty respectable with the guys he's racing, and the car ahead is pitting. So this will be a position the SROC Racing Blue cars on pit road.
What do you think happened there? Maybe a miscalculation on fuel?
I'm not sure. Okay, so with less than 20 to go, they are definitely good to the finish. All right, coming to the 25 minutes remaining in this race. Continuing the lead is Alex Albert from Team Huge Ass. 42 seconds back is the V-Apex Racing Group GT red car driven by Russell Clausen. Then the Fitzy Sty car piloted by Christian Mickle. That's our top three. Also in the lead lap is the Low Racing car driven by Tony Loesch. So quite the pace here today. With only 4 cars able to maintain on the lead lap. And we see Alex all over the back of Tony Loesch here. Will he force one more down a lap?
Yeah, certainly at this point in the race with such a gap, I wouldn't be pressing the issue too much. But certainly you don't want to be caught off guard.
Let's see, Tony, his last lap was a little off the pace, but other than that, he looks like he's had a pretty good steady pace here. So if he can get back into the 27s, 28s, Alex might ride behind him. It looks like
He's going to get
between
over.
the two of them, they've made the decision that Alex should go ahead first.
Certainly
Tony,
respecting the blue flag there.
Yeah. Wise to probably let the leader go. If he can match his pace, just ride with him. The other cars will get out of the way for the blue flag of the leader.
Yep.
All right, going to take a look at Team Vikings here. They're in a pretty close battle here with the 22 car.
Just to follow up with the SROC Racing Blue, it looks like that second pit stop, my apologies there, I thought that was the third pit stop from them, but in fact it was their second scheduled pit stop, so running a similar strategy to the rest of the drivers, maybe holding out a little bit longer.
Yeah, taking those tires so late in the running there. Oh, I guess they didn't take tires. I'm looking at the wrong one here on my screen with just 14-second stop there at the end. So hopefully they got enough fuel in it and can take the fight here to the Vikings in the closing laps.
Yeah, certainly running out of fuel has got to be one of the worst ways to race.
All right, can we take a look at the German Disaster Racing and the Torque Freaks? So the 42, they're running a little wide. I think that's just being contributed to by the worn out tires that Peter's on. The Torque Freaks in the dirty air.
Yeah, Peter certainly jumping into a difficult race here to finish on those tires. During their last laps, looks like made up quite a bit of time.
The 87's going to have a look here into turn one. Not quite close enough.
Just a bit of a fake out there.
And he has another little look into turn two. The 42 runs a little wide. I think he saw him in his mirror.
Oh, that's a close one.
Very close up over the rise here. Door to door, coming down to the hairpin. With the Miata lap traffic in the way, the 87 smartly backs out, allows the German Disaster Racing to go through single file past the lap traffic.
Back on the power here to give a good run into the dipper.
The Torque Freaks are ready to get freaky with the torque against the German Disaster Racing team. Oh, and the German Disaster team runs wide again through the dipper.
Oh, and it looks like there was a accident between the SROC Racing Blue team and the Team Vikings Ragnarok, with SROC Racing Blue getting the worst end of that. Just a little bit ago.
30 seconds. It looked to me like the SROC just lost that all by himself.
Yeah, coming out of the hairpin, he just, he made the overtake, but couldn't make it stick. Getting on the power maybe possibly a little bit too soon, but both drivers keeping it clean and continuing on.
All right, so let's get back to our battle here with the Avon Rise car. Got around the German Disaster Racing team. James Ewan on those fresh tires, making them work here in the closing stages of the race. Have to believe that might have been the right call.
Yeah, I'd imagine fresh tires would feel pretty good right now.
Less than 20 minutes to go. Peter Conrad just has to hold on here and not give up any more positions. The Vikings are behind by about 7 seconds, and I do believe the Vikings have tires, so...
In these last 13 or so laps, really just want to keep your head down and minimize any mistakes.
So my guess is the German Disaster Racing team is on the radio, giving pace notes to Peter, letting him know where they need him to run. He can't lose more than about a half a second a lap for the remainder to maintain this position. So sure they'll talk in his ear, let him know what they need out of him.
Yeah, certainly just consistency is what they want from this driver at the moment.
It looks like if they could just get some 130s right there, right, that's where we need him. 130.0, I think if he can run that, that can match the pace of the Vikings, and that'll be enough to maintain this position. Back at the front, Alex Albert in traffic. trying to close the gap down here to the 22 car, the SROC Racing Blue car. Put them 2 laps down on the race. Alex with the pace, definitely losing time to second and third, but with all the time that Sven put in their pocket, it looks like they're going to be able to maintain the lead for the rest of this race.
Yeah, the gap there is to be around 39.5 seconds. So, just put your head down, run your race, and try anything crazy. Make your way through traffic.
All right, so then moving back to the second place car of Russell Clausen. Russell, as we said, is a little right around 40 seconds back, closing that gap down just a little bit every lap. The strong pace. Russell looks to be being caught, though, by Christian. Christian now has that gap peeled to just at 4 seconds.
Yeah, so he's certainly making up a bit of time. I believe early in the race it was around 4.5 seconds. So
yeah,
right now,
I think it's going to be tough, though. It's going to be tough. These guys just like a couple of heavyweight boxers back and forth, but trading the punches, still within about 1/10 of a second of each other on each lap. So one will gain a little, and then the other fights back. But just don't think it's going to be quite enough for Russell to lose the position.
Yeah, if I'm equal, I'm going to be hoping for some lap traffic to slow him down a bit.
So then we have Tony Loesch. He's able to just cruise on home here. Tony's got about 20 seconds over Lars. Lars in the first of the Torque Freak cars, the 61. Blanchimont car. Back in 6th, we have James Ewens in the second Torque Freak car, the 87. We just saw the strong pass over the 7th place car of the German disaster team. Yes.
And I'm sorry but it looks like the SROC Racing Blue car had another incident going into the last turn, driven by Dick Schleyer. Just like we saw earlier, just got a little bit too wide, caught it sideways, and quite the damage.
Yeah, that's the same thing we saw happen to the Revert Racing car. Took a little bit too much curb on the exit of the last corner, oversteered into the pit wall, and damaged the front end. Luckily, they're able to get away quicker than the Revert car was. The Revs had to pit. The SROC car was able to drive away from the accident.
Yeah, certainly with only about 11 laps, 10 laps to go, not the kind of thing you want to see. He's just going to be trying to limp that car home at this point, I suspect, minimize the amount of positions lost.
So the closest battle we have right now is does involve the SROC Racing Blue car in the Berlin SimSport 94. They're almost nose to tail, and I think the 94 is going to get the advantage here at the end of the backstretch. 22 makes it easy.
Yeah, I think understanding that the damaged car, he doesn't really have the fight to take to him, so just concede the position and drive it on home.
All right, let's take a look at Peter Conrad here in the German Disaster Racing. Remember, Peter is on the old tires. He's being caught up by old Marius Jensen from the Team Vikings Ragnarok. They're about 3 seconds back, but with 10 laps to go, there's plenty of time for anything to happen here.
Yeah,
the Vikings seem to be ready to pillage.
Yeah, it looks like pulling about a second or so on Berlin SimSport. I'm sorry, the pulled about
The German
over a
Disaster
second.
Racing is chasing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Take about 1.2 seconds on that last lap.
wow, that is old Marius Jensen with a very strong pace for the Vikings.
Yeah, I think he's
Oh.
smelling blood, smelling opportunity, and is going to be looking to get that position as we wind down in the last 9 laps of this race.
This will be interesting to see if the leader comes into play here. If the Vikings can get through before the leader catches him and the blue flags come out. Leader's only a few seconds behind this battle. So, as our boy OMJ here continues to push hard.
Yeah, so comparing their last lap time, looks like Jensen about put nearly another second on Mr. Conrad there.
Well, I have to believe that Peter's tires are just petered out. And,
Yeah, this is a long time to go. Nearly 2 hours and I believe 10 minutes or so on those tires. They got to be about giving up.
The 42, though, continuing to run a very nice and tidy line, hitting his apexes. He might not quite have the pace of the Vikings, but can the Vikings drive offline and go around him? If he just runs a nice, steady defensive pace here, he might be able to hold him off.
Yeah, certainly Barber Motorsports Park is not the easiest place to get around. There's a couple spots for overtaking.
And the 42 runs very wide into turn 2, and that opens the door for the Vikings.
That's going to make it pretty easy for him. He gets on the inside and makes that overtake stick.
OMJ does not need 2 invitations to come through. And now the 42 will see the leader in his mirror.
We watch a replay of OMJ with that overtake. It's just very simple.
And now the leader works by the 42 and down through the dipper. So the Vikings here will want to try to take as much time as they can before falling back behind the leader. If they could stay out here for just a lap or so, that's one less lap they have to worry about the 42 maybe coming back on them.
Alex Albert's running a consistent 127.5. So finding his groove.
Which that pace is matching second place, which we've had a change, I see here. The Fitzy Sty car is now into second place as we see leader move past the Vikings. All right, let's go up and see the Fitzy Sty battle. They got around the VApex Racing Group GT Red car and opened up quite a gap.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what we missed there. Looks like it would have had to been on lap 88. That was their slow lap.
Try and find a replay here for you.
Oh, yeah. There at the end of the backstretch, the 14 just made contact with the Miata, spun around into the grass, and gave up the position. The backstretch on lap 88. Okay, so with just 8 minutes left on the race clock, we have about 6 laps to go. As Alex Albert works past another one of the Mazdas. Oh, and Alex is into the grass here at the pit entrance and now into the gravels and back onto the racetrack. The Vikings were able to get by there. Luckily, the HJ car was able to continue on with no damage.
Yeah, certainly those older tires, you want to take it easy and not push them too hard. It's only 6 laps to go. You just want to be smart.
Yeah, the tires already have 93 laps on them, so getting pretty tired here. Oh, and it's Alex deep onto the brakes here, past the Vikings, wasting no time to get going again here. But as we all know, Alex is one to never shy away from taking a pass.
Yeah, certainly not. If he's going to make an opportunity when the other driver might not expect it. Of course, running about 2 seconds a lap faster compared to the Team Viking car, not wanting to stay behind him for very long.
All right, so should we go one more time through the field here as we approach the finish? Or let's, I see a close battle. Looks like
German Disaster Racing and SROC Racing Blue. Going on there.
Oh, and German Disaster Racing is in the grass. Oh no, and they spun around. And one of the Twerk Freaks almost made contact, but was able to get by without issue.
Watching that replay, it just looks like Peter Conrad got a little bit loose going into that turn. It's very easy to do. A lot of off-camber, high speed.
Yeah, and Peter's tires have been on the car now for almost 2.5 hours.
Sure, they are second-guessing that strategy, but, you know, Peter just going to be putting his head down and driving out these last 5 laps or so.
Yeah, so let's go down through them one more time, Justin.
All right, so still leading the Porsche field, we have Alex Albert in the huge ass car. Second place, we have Christian Kuhl in the Fitzstye Motorsport. Third place is Russell Clayson with V Apex Racing Group. Then we have Tony Loesch in the Low Wee Racing. Fifth place, we have Lars Moldenhauer in the Torque Freak Racing Blue. And James Owens is in 6th place for the Torque Freak Racing Avon. 7th place, we have Ole Murray Jensen, the Vikings Ragnarok. 8th place, we have Demise Dixchlar in the SROC Racing Blue. 9th place, we have Peter Conrad, German Disaster Racing. 10th place, we have Terry Renson, Berlin Sim Sport number 94. Richard Yeager is in 11th for V Apex Racing GT Blue. And rounding out the Porsche field is Kenzie Nurf in the SROC Racing Green. Moving on to the Miata field, we have Daniel Holzer in the Disabled Motorsport vehicle. And Neil Middleton, Fusion Red, running 2nd. And Kevin Curry running 3rd in the Miata field for WR Racing E.
Yeah, and unless anything changes, that will be our finishing order. But let's go back to our leader and ride along with Alex Albert as he works with just 3.5 laps to go. Impressive pace that we saw out of the HJ Motorsport team early in the race with Sven Dummel, able to extend the lead out to almost a minute, give that margin. So once they switched drivers to the lesser talented Alex Albert, they were able to still maintain the win.
Yeah, looking at the fastest laps category, we have Sven Dummel just putting down a blistering 125.648. Looking down the field, he was the only driver to go into the 125s, with most of the other guys in the 126.
Yeah, that looks to be a second quicker than everyone else. That's the stamp of authority there.
Yeah, looks like the second fastest out here today is the V Apex Racing Group car, winning a 126.628.
Yes. The red team.
Certainly the slight bit of nose damage not helping them today.
Still, looks like they're able to, with the top speed last lap was a 137.2. The while our leader was at a 137.6. So it doesn't look like it's affecting them too much. The Twerk Freaks, though, with the highest top speed that last lap on 138.5. And it looks like that's the Twerk Freak Avon car.
Blanchemont.
And the fastest car on the track right now is Alex Albert, 127.4. That's a second quicker than second place. So looks like Alex has figured out what he's doing here at the end of his fuel run.
It looks like there was a change of position for SROC Racing Green and the V Apex Racing GT Blue.
Yeah, they're racing nose to tail. That might be our closest battle. All right, with just 1 minute to go and about 2.5 laps, let's see the battle between the 3 and the 19 here.
Yeah, so Kenzie was able to make a pass stick through the hairpin. Looks like Kenzie's running about 4/10 or 3/10 quicker than Richard right now. Of course, last lap it was about a second and a half.
Yep, our leader is coming by to take the white flag right now. Alex Albert for the last time into turn 1. Nice and tidy, up through turn 2, out into the second lane, back down to the grass, out wide to the curbs here, up and over the hill, touching the curb again, down to the hard braking zone for the hairpin, down through the gears, strong acceleration back up towards the dipper in the motorcycle museum. Again, hard on the brakes through this triple apex corner.
Yeah, the dipper is such a difficult corner to get right, but when you do it, it feels really rewarding.
And here comes our leader working through the fast chicane on the backstretch.
A little bit of opposite lock.
All right, a lot of curb there, into the right-hander. Up over the rise. Just 2 turns to go now. Coming by the pit entrance. Through the final turn, the number 33 Team Huge Ass Dick Insider Porsche GT Cup car is your winner today in DGFX.
Great drive from Alex Albert there to finish out the race. As we look, looks like German Disaster and Berlin Simsport have a pretty close battle going on.
Right in front of Sam here, and so that battle's going to will finish here. So
yeah.
The 42 is able to get the position over the Simsport team just ahead.
Oh,
Up Christian.
Certainly
the second position, and Russell just now crossing to finish out the podium in the Porsche class. If we want to take the camera back to Tony Loesch, he's coming through the dipper now. The 69, the fourth place running Porsche. Or if we could point the camera at the 178, that's the winner of the Miata class coming across the line now, Daniel Hosel. Second place, the 123, Neil Middleton. Very close behind, but not quite there. Good finish, Neil, in second. And it looks like the third place car from WR Racing B is going to finish the race in the pits.
Yeah.
So quite an amazing race today, Justin.
Yeah, I would agree. Kind of hard to see two of the Miatas there getting dropped out into the pits. Couple of unfortunate errors going into the penultimate corner. But yeah, certainly strategy playing a big part today, with a couple of teams able to make a over or gain a position from taking just a slightly lighter fuel load.
Yeah, I think the pit strategy really made today's race exciting. I'm going to run down to the paddock and see if I can put a microphone in front of our today's race winner, Spin Dimmel.
All right.
So do you want to go ahead and run down through the standings? I'll be right back.
Yeah, so running down the standings, we have Alex Albert finishing a great drive for the huge ass car. In second place, we have Fitzsty Motorsport, driven by Christian Mikkel. Third place, we have the V Apex Racing Group, driven by Russell Clayson. Fourth place, we have Low Wee Racing, driven by Tony Loesch. Fifth place, we have the Torque Freak Racing Blue by Lars Moldinghauer. Sixth place, we have the Team Freak Racing Avon by James Owens. Seventh place, we have the Team Vikings Ragnarok by Ole Marius Jensen. Eighth place at SROC Racing Blue, driven by Demise Tixschiller. And ninth place, we had German Disaster Racing by Peter Conrad. 10th place, we had Berlin Sim Sport, number 94, driven by Terry Renson. 11th place, we had SROC Racing Green by Kenzie Nierolf. In 12th place, you had the V Apex Racing GT Blue, driven by Richard Yeager. And then going into the Miata field, you had Disabled Motorsport by Daniel Holzer later at the end. Fusion Red in second place by Neil Middleton. WR Racing Blue, driven by Kevin Curry. And UMBC Racing in fourth place, driven by Samuel Scott.
All right, well, thanks for that rundown. Justin, I was able to gather up Sven Dimmel and bring him into the booth here with me.
Hey, guys.
Hi, Sven. That was an amazing drive that you had there at the beginning of the race. Your pace at times was over a second a lap quicker. What do you credit that to?
Well, this is my favorite track. I always love coming here, and I did so many laps, not just to practice before the race, but just because I enjoy driving here, especially in a Porsche. So yeah, I'm always really quick here, and I just love driving around here.
Yeah, you were certainly proving very dominant out there, running about a second a lap faster than the second place guy. Quite the commanding lead. You want to talk us through your pit strategy at all?
We did the standard strategy, just go full stint, then add some fuel and save the driver swap for the second stint to minimize the time we're standing in the pits.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you noticed, Sven, but you were one of only two teams to not take tires today. The German Disaster Racing was the other squad that didn't take tires, and it looked like it didn't work out for them quite as well as you guys. Was Alex complaining about the tires at the end of the race? Did you guys regret the strategy? Should you have taken tires?
I think it was the right strategy, but yeah, Alex was really struggling with the tires at first. No one has practiced doing entire 2.4 hours on one set, but it worked in the other races, and even though it was really hot today, and it hurt the tires, we still were confident and it was the right strategy. And are you sure P2 and P3 didn't take any tires? I thought.
No, they took
or-
tires. Yeah.
Are you sure they took tires? I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
only
then-
German Disaster Racing were the other ones that did not take tires. Everyone else was swapping them at least once.
Yeah, so second and third, they didn't take them on the first stop, but on the second stop they did. And luckily you had built such a gap that even though your teammate had a few spins there in the final stint, you guys were able to maintain a healthy lead at the checkered flag.
Yeah, we had a pretty big lead, even though I did actually spin as well and had a few offs. It was really, really difficult to drive. There was not much grip because of the weather and these old tires. You really had to be careful.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to come into the booth today, Sven, and congratulations again on the win. I don't see anyone else in the holding pen, so let's go ahead and close this one down. Justin?
Yeah, just congratulations to our winner again, Sven Demmel. Commanding drive there. A great race today. Kept it clean. Saw some pretty good battles, and certainly it proved to be that last turn that was pretty tricky for quite a few drivers. But for the most part, people were able to finish with minimal damage. What are your thoughts, Alex?
Yeah, I thought it was a great race. It's Evan, by the way.
Sorry.
Admiral 2, King of the Miatas. Miata's always the answer. Yes, I thought it was a great race. I think that this is going to really feed into the championship battle. So it'll be interesting to see the final race of the season, which will be broadcast on one of our competitors, Race Spot. It's in Watkins Glen in about 5 weeks' time. So I know the HJ boys will be fielding Jeff Tyler of Zolder Infamy and Sven Dimmel of Barber Domination. So hopefully the HJ boys are able to bring home another win at Watkins Glen in about 5 weeks' time.
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to that race as well. Certainly, Jeff Tyler probably looking to get a bit redemption in this last race.
Yeah, we had to sneak him out of the paddock last time, but we won't mention that anymore. So thanks again to all the teams for coming out and for the DGFX racing series, and we will see you guys next time.
See you guys.